Yeah, I mean, I was pretty burnt out last year. But yeah, there's so many people that burn out because creating is a thing where it's like it's 24/7. It's not like a 9 to 5 at Goldman Sachs where you clock in and you clock out, and you can separate yourself from it. You're always thinking how you can improve and stuff. But it's just there's no paid vacation for 2 weeks. There's no healthcare benefits and stuff. So you're kind of working 24/7. And I had to just like uh, over Thanksgiving and New Year's and Christmas, I had to be like, all right, this is the time where like I'm gonna get a little bit of a pass for just not doing anything, and I'm gonna take advantage of it because I'm always so busy constantly, and it really does burn you out. You can't perform at 100% all the time. Taking breaks is actually good for you in the long run.
Welcome, everybody, to the Full Battery Media Podcast. My name is Sean Trace. I am your host, and I have an awesome guest with me today. Would you like to tell people who you are and a little bit about what you do?
My name is Arman Zaidi. I'm a YouTuber, podcast producer, and I work pretty deep in the trenches in the creator economy. I'm really in there. I'm obsessed with it. I love it, and that's what I do in Los Angeles. Just in there in the creator economy.
Dude, how did you get started, man?
Oh man, I mean, I've always had a passion for YouTube since I was a kid, man. Like I always saw like so many YouTubers when I was growing up just, becoming millionaires off this by just showcasing their talents and their hobbies. And I always wanted a tiny piece of that, it's like the most sought after job in the world at the moment. It's just, being a creator YouTuber. And over the years, I just kept trying to inch away at that dream, you know what I mean? And there was a lot of eras. Like there was the Ray William Johnson, Smosh, PewDiePie era, and then right now we're currently in the MrBeast era that had a lot of people under his circle that really inspired me a lot, like Eric and Ludwig. And that kind of just pushed me to go get it. These guys were in their 20s, moved out to LA, risked everything for YouTube, and I was just like, I'm pretty sure I could try and do the same.
The cool part is like you don't need much to get started. You need an idea, you need creativity. And now like the tools are getting so much easier to use as well. Like I have one camera that replaced almost all of my old production cameras just for ease and for fun, and I'm just using like Osmo Pocket 3 for most stuff because it's just so easy, man. And like it used to be like we were, I'd have a ton of mirrorless cameras on every shoot, and we were just, but now it's like the ease of ability to shoot it's become crazy,
Yeah, everything's super democratized now, and even like the knowledge of how to create, like how to optimize your stuff and how to make things happen. There's a lot of MrBeast podcasts that you could watch. I mean, he just lays it all out there, and like I listened to hours and hours of it, and I managed to be somewhat successful, and I do like believe the things he says. All it really takes is hard work and just a lot of time to constantly perfect the craft, because you'll never be like the best at it. You got to keep learning.
There was a post I saw on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, first of all, a weird place. It is like, it's a weird place. It's like, I would call it business porn, essentially. And like they go in weird places. But there was a post today that got me thinking. And it was just like one of those, would you rather this now or something else later? And I was just like, I'm not good at math. Those are the types of questions that killed me on the SAT. Would you rather have $10 now, but it doubles every workout, or $100,000 now? And I was like, hang on. I know pretty quickly, even not being great at math, that compounding is gonna be a beast. And I just was curious how quickly it would become a beast and to what level, And so I broke it down. And it was after 15 workouts, you're at $163,000.
Wow.
And the thing is, and you start pushing beyond that, and it's getting into crazy territory. Why I bring that up is because when you're making videos, it's the same thing. If you don't have the ability to show up again and again and again, it's really hard, man, to keep it up. My wife the other day, she's a singer here in Vietnam, and we did a video that went moderately viral, and I'm super happy about that. 1.6 million views for a song.
Nice.
Nothing crazy, but like it's not MrBeast numbers, but still like that was awesome, it's a good thing. And she's like, "Oh, all my workers were following it and they were just like so excited." And I was like, "We got to be excited." They're like, "Why are you not excited?" And I'm like, "I'm working on the next video." Like it's great that we did that well, but I want to, you know what? For me to be happy, I need to do that 10 times. I need to do that
Yeah.
100 times, because at the end of the day, it's about continuing to show up to get that value.
1000%. Yeah, flash in the pan. Like everyone has flashes in the pan every now and again, but trying to have that consistency. Now that even like it's almost like for some people it's like a drug. Like getting that 1.6 million that one time, it's like wow, like I can do it. Now I gotta like chase that dragon and do it every time. And
Yeah.
there's so many factors in videos that do that, man. But
Right.
I think it just gets
crazy.
easier. It really does
Yeah.
compound. I think it gets easier and easier the more you do it.
100% agree. My first podcast that I created was a bitch to put together. I was just like, well, how do I do this? And the layout wasn't that great. I look back at those first ones, and I'm like, God damn, that was horrible. But now things are looking better, and I have a better team. I have better people around me. And it's just like you start leveling up and you start getting more momentum. And that momentum is powerful in the creator economy, powerful in life. Momentum is a powerful thing if you can keep showing up.
Yeah, I mean that compounding thing you said. I mean, I've applied that to pretty much everything in life. Just a little bit. Like, I mean, I'll look at my like actual investments, financial investments, and I've seen that compound. I've seen all the effort I put in YouTube, and like it's like the smallest things have crazy payoffs way down the road for me. That's what I've realized. Like meeting this person there, or working with this client there, and then being at another event there, and then it's all connected. Everything in life, it really does pay off eventually.
100%. Well, I wanted to ask you this because you've got a really cool background. You started as a creator yourself, not just a producer. How
Yeah.
did making your own YouTube content change the way you work with clients and do what you do now?
I think it gave me a lot of insight and even just confidence, or just even having the balls to just, if like it kind of clicked in my brain, is like if I can help other people get like views and I can produce their videos, right? And I got so many reps in by working with other people and getting an understanding of how their back end works. I was like, wouldn't it be so much cooler if I could just do that to myself, just apply that? And it's always a little scary, but then I was just like, I've done this 1,000 times. I'm just not even going to think about it and just apply all that just to my own work, and it seemed to have worked out.
That's awesome, man. Because it's like there's a certain set of core principles that if you can really figure those out, it will give you a lot more success. What are some of the principles that you live by in your own production? Like, this is something that's a golden rule for you type of a thing.
Definitely try to keep everything frictionless. You want to get to working quicker. You don't want to have 20 obstacles in your way, or you're just going to get like demotivated. You know what I mean? Try to optimize your workflow. So wherever you're sitting, you just sit down, record, and it gets done. Definitely try to have a really good system in keeping your ideas in check. Have like a great document where you have like really good ideas, all right ideas, and then there's times at the middle of like I'm about to go to sleep and I just have a really good idea in my head, and then I pick up my phone really quick and go to my Google Docs and I add down that idea. Sometimes they're absolute trash when I wake up. I'm like, why did I even? What is this? But sometimes they're pretty gold. And those golden moments that I've woken up at night and just like actually recorded those ideas have done pretty well. So it's just try to there's a good creator in everybody. You just got to capture it.
That's it, man. Like, I think that there are golden ideas out there all the time, but you have to be able to write them down and act upon them. One of the things I remember having this idea about this movie idea ages ago, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then what did I do? Nothing. and just sat on it. This is a great
Yeah.
idea. And then like a year later, someone came out with that same movie concept. And I'm not saying mine could have become that movie, but I am saying if you have a golden idea and you're not finding a way to like put it down on paper and act upon it, then it doesn't go anywhere.
It really doesn't. Yeah, just literally acting on things and just like you said, compound effort. Just a little bit every day, it pays off. And even like I know people use MrBeast as an example for everything in the creator economy, but even just the simple idea of what if he just never counted to 100,000? It's a simple and dumb idea, but if he never did it, there would be no MrBeast today. What if it was just a fleeting idea in his head? He's like, nah, that's a pretty dumb idea. Let's not do that. Well, who knows where his life would have been?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, man. It's like those little choices are things that, again, compound. But if you just have to continue to show up, and it's not always easy. I was talking to a YouTuber, booking them for my daughter's channel, and they're like, this is, they're excited to collaborate with us. But she's like, I'm actually shutting down my channel. She's like, I'm tired, and it's tough to keep things going. And it's interesting because I have you ever met people like that are just like wear out in the process?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty burnt out last year, but yeah, there's so many people that burn out because creating is a thing where it's like it's 24/7. It's not like a 9 to 5 at Goldman Sachs where you clock in and you clock out, and you can separate yourself from it. You're always thinking how you can improve and stuff, but it's just there's no paid vacation for 2 weeks. There's no healthcare benefits and stuff. So you're kind of working 24/7. And I had to just like over Thanksgiving and New Year's and Christmas, I had to be like, all right, this is the time where like I'm gonna get a little bit of a pass for just not doing anything, and I'm gonna take advantage of it because I'm always so busy constantly, and it really does burn you out. You can't perform at 100% all the time. Taking breaks is actually good for you in the long run.
I had to learn to get help. I had to learn to get people to like help me as well. And that was like one of the first things was finding a great editor who can help me just do the process, because I found that when I'm trying to do everything myself, I can, but it's tiring. And I think that those people that are there to help pace you is a really good thing as well.
Yeah, I mean, even in the biggest of scales, like MrBeast isn't editing every video. Elon's not he's not putting in the parts together for the Tesla. You gotta you gotta, by scaling up, you just gotta have a good support system around you.
Though I do want someone to generate a video now on AI of Elon building a Tesla himself. That would be absolutely awesome.
That definitely exists somewhere.
It's got to be there somewhere, man.
Yeah. If not, I mean, Sora can cook that up in about 10 seconds.
Right.
Crazy times.
That's wild, right? A lot of people want to start podcasts and content of all types, TikTok, YouTube channels, but very few people actually build channels that grow. In your opinion, what separates someone who's just doing content as a hobby versus people that become a real brand,
Yeah. I mean, content as a hobby nowadays, it's like just anyone picking up their phone, they film and record in high quality, just throwing things up and kind of hoping for things to happen like right away. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like I filmed this video of me doing this thing, and I'm not MrBeast yet, so all of this is a lie. I'm like, that's not how it works. The thing that separates people as a hobby and as pursuing it as a business is you take that video, whatever you posted, and I want you to look back at it like you did with your first podcast show, and just look back at it like 6 months to a year from now, and just be like, wow, that was terrible. And just do that all the time. You just got to keep improving at what you're doing. If you get complacent and you just, it's like, what's that Einstein quote? Is like if you just keep doing the same thing, you're insane, right? Or the definition of insanity is repetition or something. I don't know the exact quote, but it's something along those lines.
I think it's like doing the same thing and expecting a different result or something like that.
There you go. The result part's pretty important. Yeah, just doing the same thing and just expecting some X factor to come and save you is just not going to happen. You got to improve on it in every which way, man. That's the separation.
They're right. It's like I can say that I want to bake a cake. but I promise you that cake is going to taste like crap, because I haven't done it. But like once you bake 1,000 cakes, and you refine that, and every time you're cooking, like this is one thing that I love that a lot of creators. MrBeast is always about that. He's like, my first videos sucked. Like if you go back and watch that, like
I
they are
love how
not
his
great,
journey's out there. Like you can
right?
literally track back, and your finger's gonna start to hurt from scrolling down from his oldest videos. You're gonna be like, wow, I'm going, like you're gonna pass like a solid 5-6 years, and I'm just like, this is the biggest guy ever. And he didn't become that in a day. It took a decade, and that wasn't even his first channel. He had multiple channels. You know what I mean? It's just you can't even put into words. And it's kind of amazing. He's the biggest YouTuber of all time. He's just some kid in his room just trying random shit out. And it really yeah, he's a billionaire now, right? And it's
wild,
just
man.
Yeah, it's truly insane. That scale. I mean, the story of Jimmy is probably the best YouTube's ever had. It's going to be tough to top. It's a storybook ending. Just becoming the biggest ever, and just like the competition is not even. There's no one even in second place. He's like in first place 5 times. It's pretty crazy.
It is, man, and it's wild because he got there with showing up, consistency, and just doing good stuff over and over again, man. But this leads to my other question, because you've worked with other massive creators, and what did you learn from being inside these high growth creator operations, man?
Yeah, I mean, I've looked top YouTubers in the eye, like Eric and Ludwig, and I've seen them produce their videos in LA, and there's like this thing about them. There's this work ethic that you can just tell, man. They're putting their heart and soul into everything. Like every tiny detail, they're aware of it and they're trying to improve upon it. It's not like they're just laid back, It's almost like what's the difference? It's like some guy who's coasting off a network TV show, just some random third string guy, versus like a Tom Cruise who's just like every little minute detail, everything, he's going to take it to 1,000%, or there's no point in it. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's work ethic and intensity.
I love that, man. It is. And the thing is, like, I have a new guy that I onboarded to my team yesterday, and he was witnessing our pace that we go for the first time. He's like, you don't stop at all during the day. And I was like, no, I plan my rest strategically, but it's all about the hustle. And it's like and he's like, I was up at 4 a.m. this morning, like starting out podcasts, and I will go until midnight, but during the day I am taking care of myself. I do have self-care, and, I plan time at the gym and all that. But like, if you're not relentless, you're not going to get there in this industry.
No. Yeah. There's just too many people chasing it that have better work ethics than you. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're just going to get outworked. Doesn't matter how talented you are.
That's 100% it, man. You will get outworked, and you might have the best. I remember there was a story about that with some brand. I can't remember the brand, but there was these two businesses that were equal, but the better business, they just opened up only a couple days a week, and the lesser business was open 7 days a week and just longer hours. And at the end of the day, people were coming to that lesser business because it was just accessible. It was there, and they were working it, and what happened over time is their product got better, and at that point in time, just because they were putting in the time. And if you're not showing up, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah, and just being super efficient too, even if you do have limited time, you got to be super efficient and on point with it. You know what I mean? Like, just keep everything super optimized and organized. You don't want to be wasting time doing just menial tasks that just have no production. You just got to keep going.
I did business school when other people were doing their thing, and for me, I was like, during COVID, I was like, well, I'm gonna get my MBA because I ain't got a damn thing to do right now, and I want to learn stuff. And most of it was absolutely pointless, but there was a couple concepts. One of them was return on investment, and the other was like, I really loved was like the time ROI, man. But time value of money was another big thing of that. Your time is hands down the greatest resource you have. And if you are able to do a task and it takes you so much energy, but you can hire someone to do that task for much less energy than you would make with that same given amount of time, then it's better to do that. And also thinking about those things that are not going to have that ROI. If you're putting in, 55 hours on a thumbnail that doesn't hit, like, dude, find a way to be more efficient with your thumbnails.
Yeah. 55. Yeah. I mean, yeah. ROI. And what was this? You said time value money?
Time value of money.
Time value of money. Yeah. ROI is, return on, I mean, you could work super hard, aiming a magnifying glass at a paper to, light it on fire, or you could just buy a lighter from the store for $1 and just light that on fire. You know what I mean? There's just better ways to do it.
I love it, man. Well, when a creator comes to you with a show idea, what are the first things you look at before saying yes or no?
I mean, at the podcast studio, we got a lot of people walking in. A lot of people just kind of walk in with no plan, no idea, and just be like, "Yeah, I want to walk in here. I want to be like Alex Cooper or Joe Rogan, just talking to a mic and become a multimillionaire." I'm just like, "Cool, that's amazing. Who doesn't, right?" And and then I asked them if there's even any substance. Like, are you willing to fail for years and years? Because Alex Cooper, Joe Rogan didn't see their returns for a very long time. They were, think about them 10 years ago. Did you know who they were? They were still working, doing the same exact thing. They just, the apple tree didn't give it its apples yet. You know what I mean? You got to grow that tree first, and you got to be willing to wait to grow with the tree.
100%. Like I think that's one thing that we have so many people, and like this is something everyone talks about, especially on my money podcast. And I've got a lot of podcasts. I've got 4 podcasts, which is because I'm a bit weird like that. I've got my money podcast because I knew nothing about money. So I wanted to talk to really smart people who did so I can learn about money. And it's been really helpful. But, they talk about all the time. And I've got some others. I got like this one, which is one of my favorites, is I talk about content. I have my Sean Trey show, which is totally straight up self-help. And then I've got Barrels and Roots because I love wine and I love talking to people about wine. It's like, why not, And one of the things though, is that in the podcast about money, they talk about how everyone sees the gains, but no one sees the work that went in. Like you see the guy at the gym, hello, I'm swole, that's my voice impersonation, it's like, but you see that guy looking all big and strong or woman, you see them looking all strong and like just absolutely monster, in an awesome way. And you think, geez, I want that too. And like, but yet people don't realize, dude, they've been in the gym for years, like just hitting it, and people that are, have all this money, they've been investing for years. Now, certainly there are the people who get there quickly, but they don't often have the skills in place to keep it up.
Yeah.
You hear about the lottery winners that just get cleaned out because they didn't know how to manage that money.
Yeah, I mean, just like I've been obsessed with the finance content for a couple years now, and there's just so many tiny things that I've learned that literally, it's like this is almost a theme of the show. It's like how little things can make a big difference in a long period of time, like expense ratios in a Roth IRA, or how much dividends can stack up. Late game, just how like investing in a taxable brokerage versus a Roth, how those tiny percentages can slowly eat away at you, and having a diversified portfolio, just it's so interesting to me. And just like in investing differences, I guess, it's like when you use a credit card with a better cashback rate, right? You just invest the difference back in, or you put your money into a high yield savings account instead of a normal savings account. That's a big difference there. And then just invest the difference. Keep everything compounding. Just like that's been super super dope for me financially. It's just like cutting back my finances and just letting investing do the rest. And like I realize, since I am so young, I am already like seeing the benefits, you know what I mean? And that makes me think, I mean, it really does get harder the older you are. Like in finances, you don't get to reap the rewards if you start later because of compounding. And like when MrBeast started YouTube, he started when he was like 11, 12 years old. If he started when he had a wife and kids, he would be, priorities would be different. Time would be a little different. You know what I mean? So
It's
time allocation, everything, like that's time value money right there.
100%, man. And it's interesting too, because there's so many different types of content out there that people can get into. And I work with people that are older that are trying to get into it to build their businesses and build their personal branding. And you're right, like they're sitting there playing catch up, and there's a lot of things for people to focus on. You have shorts, clips, live streams, long form episodes, and right now people don't necessarily know where to start. Like, how do you think creators should balance content formats right now? Because there's so much to do.
Yeah. So definitely live stream and shorts are the lowest lift, I would say. I think you can get out there and you can experiment a lot, and you see your experiments play out in real time. And long forms are a lot trickier. There's a lot more factors that go into that, like with CTR, AVD, the classic stuff. But with shorts, it's just like it's like the wild wild west. If the video is good, it's gonna get out there. I'm sure you've seen on like TikTok or YouTube Shorts, like, just like a old woman who doesn't even know how to use her phone, selfie cam, just like, with like funny music happening or whatever, and it gets like 10 million views, and it's just like, you can really. There's a lot of X factors there, and you can build consistency there, because that's what I've done on shorts. I've been consistently posting shorts for about 4 years now, and I feel like I've found a comfortable pocket where I can like get a little bit of consistency. Yeah. But yeah, with live streams as well, and yeah, but trying to balance long forms and lives and shorts, it's definitely super tough. It comes down to personal preference, but there's a lot of YouTubers who do it super well, where they have like a great flywheel, like Ludwig, who does a live stream, but he's live streaming in the sense where he's going to get a long form video out of it, and then in the middle of that, he's going to get some shorts out of it too. So it's a nice workflow there.
I love it. And I totally agree. And when I talk to people coming in, like, especially for business professionals, I'm like, well, what's your goal? I think that you can think about that, because for reach right now, like pure reach, shorts are the way to go, because you're just going to be getting out there. But like, I had one guy who came in, he's like, well, I want to be a TED Talk speaker. And I was like, well, then you might want to look at, these longer form talking head stuff. And then I had another person who's like, I just want to network and build a large network. I was like, well, then a podcast might be for you, man. It's like, I don't know. But, the beauty is that you find your own way. What is it that you enjoy making? And that's the thing I tell people the biggest. If you enjoy, I love having conversations with people. I love this. And so for me, this is the gold that I love to go back to. And then I can trim it into shorts as well. But, I think that you have to figure out what you enjoy and figure out what you're not good at, And so the other day, I was looking at some stuff for my daughter's channel, and the things that had performed well and what happened. There was one thing that performed well, but neither my daughter nor I enjoyed doing it. And so we were like, even though it was a high performing thing, we were like, that's not what we want to be doing. And we stepped back from it. And I know it might have been wrong from a metrics perspective, but from a like pure fun and joy, like it wasn't what we wanted to be doing,
Yeah. No, you always got to factor that in, or people just get trapped into doing things they don't like on YouTube, and that leads to burnout very, very quickly. There's countless examples, but sometimes you're just trapped, and it's also just like people have a price. How much can that metric go up where I can swallow the pill of the creativity and fun.
Exactly. It's like, it's that balance between what people want and what you want, and finding that joy. But like, you grew your own channel to 100,000 subscribers. What were the key moments where things actually started to click?
Yeah, there's a lot of inflection points, I would say. Brainly, like with shorts, I got a lot of views through short form sketch comedy. Like I was a lot of brain rot stuff, and then it was that metric that was good, and then I was like sort of not having fun with it, and then I was like, let me try something else, and let me try like talking head, like fun trivial videos, right? And the inflection points that I realized along the way were if you can really figure out the format and have a repeatable style under like an umbrella that you really enjoy doing and it doesn't even feel like work to you, then you can keep improving on it like every short that comes out, and eventually it will hit. It's not going to be immediate, but once you build a nice catalog, it all kind of lifts together.
I love that. Right. And again, you keep getting better. My daughter and I, we train Muay Thai together,
Oh,
and
nice.
she's 10, and she's been, it's slow going, but she's slowly getting better. And one of the things too is like every time she goes in and she's sparring, she's like, I don't like it, but she started to like it because she started getting better and started having fun with it. And it's like one of the things too is when you start getting to a point where things start to click and you're like, wow, this is fun now. This is, I'm getting into the flow. And you got to get over that initial hump of the suck, and that's one of the things I tell people, like, get through your first 10 videos. And like, once you're through your first 10 or, first 50 or whatever it might be for you, that's like the part that sucks,
Yeah.
maybe first 100, but I mean, whatever it is. And when you get to that point where it starts getting more fun, then you can start like really starting to figure out, what is it that you enjoy? I mean, I've refined the style I've used for podcasting. I used to never have questions. I just go in and it was just like absolute chaos like the entire time. But people are like, that was a wild conversation. I'm like, yes, it was. But I had to find when I would go back through my transcripts, I was like, God damn, I was all over the place. I was like,
Yeah.
how are we talking about chupacabras on a personal finance? I mean, though the chupacabra story was pretty rad,
Yeah.
it's still, you got to kind of
Framework.
you refine it. You framework it, man. But a lot of creators struggle with consistency. What systems or habits help you stay in the game long enough to win?
Oh, there's a lot of systems. I mean, the best thing I like doing is educating myself constantly. There's always something new on YouTube. Every year the platform's completely different. The things that you're doing from like 2022 don't work in 2026. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to be super updated. You have to be there. There's a channel on YouTube called Creator Insider by YouTube themselves, and they just straight. I mean, they just straight up give you like it's just like patch notes on YouTube, and there's just so many small things that I learn that give me like a heads up on where the platform is heading and with these new features and how I can utilize it. And just creating solid workflows has been like the biggest game changer, biggest game changer. I'm sure you and your team have great systems in place, but having a system in place that's super reliable, it's not going to be perfect day one, but keep refining that and having a good set of ideas in your wine podcast, right? You come in, sit down, talk to the right people in the wine business. There's so many cool wine facts that I'm sure I'm not like privy to. I don't know what the best selling wines are. I don't know which places sell the best wine. And there's just looking at things through a new lens and perspective is a game changer. Trying to have mass appeal from your interests.
Right. And, systems are a huge thing. And like figuring out, like for my team, like I'm big on workflows. We have a client that's working with us that asked for a pretty big like shift in some of the content that we're producing for them, which is a pretty heavy pull. And I was like, not a problem. But we just have to figure out. And my client's like, can you guys handle this? And I was like, yeah, but we're going to figure out a new workflow. And once we figure that workflow out, we'll be able to hammer it in, because until you have that system in place, even the most simple things, all right, so we're going to make all these videos, but you don't have a system to kind of organize the videos once they're created. Like, that's going to be chaos. It's like, hey, what did we make last week? Like, I don't remember. Like,
that
those are the type
down
of
the
simple
editing
things.
process.
Yep. It's like
it
you
affects
gotta
everything.
affects everything. So you got to have a system in place, But I want to ask you this, because podcasting has grown a lot, and you're sitting at the intersection of podcasting and YouTube. Where do you think creator media is headed in the next few years, especially around the podcast space? Because I mean, now I heard Netflix is getting into podcasting too. I don't even know how that's going to look.
I mean, I've been in the podcast world for about 7 years now, and obviously people are going to tell you, video's got to be the best, and the video's got to be, you got to prioritize that. But that's like 2022 knowledge, I mean? Now it's almost just like it gets deep, man. You got to create a whole world almost. There's like inside jokes inside podcasts that becomes merch. There's like you building community is like the number one thing, you know. Playing it very surgically with podcasts isn't the best way to go, I would say. You know, Joe Rogan's probably the best example. Like, I mean, he's had thousands and thousands of episodes where he's not really thinking too hard, but like the fans enjoy the little beats and the little moments that make Joe Rogan who he is. You know, there's so many clips that build lore. You know, lore's another thing. You know, people want to know about you, and people want to know about your background and like all the things that make you stand out. You know, people want to be like part of this, like what's not monoculture, it's like a tiny subculture, you know. It's like liking an underground like music artist before they go famous, you know. Yeah, you just got to be super connected to your roots, and that's gonna change the way that podcast works, because there's so many of them. Not all of them are going to be the biggest show, but you're gonna have to cultivate a very strong niche audience.
I love that. Yeah, and that's just something that I think that a lot of podcasters a mistake they make is they try to be the next Joe Rogan. And then I remember I was in this acting class and in LA a long ass time ago, and like the teacher had this guy, and there was a scene. They loved this scene from the movie Boiler Room that has Giovanni Ribisi, Vin Diesel. It's an older 2000s movie, but it was a great movie and had great acting in it. And this guy came up and he was like doing this scene from Giovanni Ribisi, and he was like just like Giovanni Ribisi, and everyone thought that he was going to get praised by the acting teacher. But you know what? She ripped him a new one, and we were like, "What was that all about? Why does she hate this so much?" And she's like, "If I'm a movie producer or casting director, I'm not going to cast you acting like Giovanni Ribisi. I'm going to cast Giovanni Ribisi. If I'm going to cast you, if I want to see you, you need to be you. Be authentically you and figure out what's special about you." And I think that's what I think YouTubers have to do. You know, dude, don't be MrBeast. MrBeast is MrBeast, and he's awesome for that. Be what you are, you know, figure out what he's doing right, and you can pull from that, but you know, you do you. And like, that's such a thing that I think is as a big mistake that a lot of new podcasters make.
Yeah, just putting yourself out there. And another thing is like a social aspect is like there's like a lot of eyes on you, friends and family. It's almost better to do this without people knowing, you know. Then you can truly authentically be yourself, because if you're trying to, you know, play an angle and like trying to look good for your friends or family, it's just not going to work well. You know, you want to look good for the thousands of people that don't know you. You know what I mean? They want to get to know you, cut to the chase, and get to your true self as quick as they can.
I love that. If someone was like wanting to shift into content creation as a real business, to really just do this, not just views, but they want to get into this, what mindset shift has to happen?
Mindset shift. Money in terms of content and building it as a business, it doesn't come in the ways that you might expect. There's 30 random curveballs that can happen, you know, like the Hawk Tuah girl. I don't think she was thinking about becoming a millionaire when she said that, you know. And
Right.
there's just a random there. You have to embrace chaos a little bit, and when it comes to this, you know, you just never know what's going to work, and people try to capture lightning in a bottle, but it's so tough to quantify things like that. But the mindset shift that has to happen is be comfortable in being uncomfortable. You know, there's a reason why corporations don't do too well on content, is that they just do everything super surgically, and people can tell it's super corporate. You know, you gotta you know, let your shoulders down a little bit. You gotta have a little fun with it. You know what I mean? This isn't like another thing or like another marketing budget that you're blowing to hopefully get a return on. You gotta get in there, man.
Yeah. Get your hands dirty and see where it goes. If you could give your younger self some advice, mainly about content creation, before you got into all this and you're doing it all again, what advice would you give yourself?
I would say have fun with it. Have fun with it more. Yeah. You know, I feel like people get super, super stressed about it, and this is the dream. You know, this is the greatest thing ever. the problems is like the what's it called, the ceilings are infinite. You know, you could just keep going and going and going, but have fun in that journey because it's like one of the best journeys ever. You know, you learn so many things, you meet so many cool people, you pretty much document all your experiences and all your work out there on the internet, and it's such a cool journey that it's just on the internet and people get to follow that. And you know, embrace the lows and embrace the highs, embrace both parts of the journey.
I love that, man. If people want to find out more about you and what you do, where can they look?
Just Googling my name, Arman Zaidi, is probably the best way. You get a nice smorgasbord of places to check me out on, but the best place would be YouTube, youtube.com/Arman Zaidi. That's the best place.